Hello everyone, it's Robert Powers. Today I just wanted to take the opportunity that I had here to compare and contrast two different shoes. Now this is probably really only going to appeal to, I'm guessing, the most hardcore Allen Edmonds shoe enthusiast. It'll probably bore everybody else, so watch at your own risk. So what I have here on the left is a pair of Allen Edmonds McAllisters, and I purchased these here just last year, so 2017, so they're probably made in 2016, 2017. And over here, this is a pair of model they don't make anymore, but this is a pair of Chesters, Allen Edmonds Chester, and I'm going to guess these are made sometime between 2012 to 2015. I could be wrong on that, but I'm going by the style of the script and the they changed some different things about shoes, but they don't make it anymore. So first of all, these are obviously both a very similar shoe. When you look at them at first, you might almost think, what's the difference? Why'd they change the model name? Okay, they're both Oxfords, okay, closed lacing system. They both have 6 eyelets, okay, and they both have the wingtip design, okay, with a full brogue. So let me show you some of the differences. I've been looking at these shoes over, what some of the fairly subtle differences are. Okay, again, this is the newer one, okay, McAllister, okay. So one of the things I noticed when I'm looking at them is, well, before I get into it, this is an 11.5 Triple E, and this is a 12A, okay? So you're going to see some things that are different just because they're, one's the most narrow shoe you can get, one is, almost the most narrow shoe you can get, and this one's almost the widest one you get from Allen Edmonds. But so first of all, let me start at the front of the shoe, I guess. Here you see the medallion. Here, this design here, the holes punched in the front. It's almost like, kind of like a, almost like a cross shaped, I guess, right? That is one difference. See here, that medallion got more elaborate, I guess I would say, okay? So, subtle difference there. Now here, if you look at the wingtip here, if I get the camera to focus a little better, you can see the pinking, 2 rows of stitching, the broguing, the holes, and then 1 row of stitching. You look at the McAllisters, you see pinking, 2 rows of stitching, the broguing, and then 2 more rows of stitching there. Okay, so subtle difference. If I come back to the Chester, obviously the color is different, and I've said this before, my McAllisters here, I've never seen another pair of oxblood shoes that light, so I think that's probably not the norm. I would not say they made the color lighter, so I'm not sure if this is oxblood or Merlot. They also have another color called Merlot. So if we look up here, right, you see the broguing here? Now notice, right here, across here, you see broguing captured by a single row of stitching on either side. Now notice, this is one piece of leather, okay? So it goes all the way back, right? And then this here, this design is also actually one piece of leather. Okay, in other words, these are stitches, but this is one piece of leather. There's not, 2 separate pieces of leather. 2 rows of stitching, row of broguing, 1 row of stitching. Now also notice this comes down over down, okay? So this right here is a separate piece of leather, and you can see the pinking. So compare it to the McAllister, right? And you can see here, this part of the construction is the same, but this part is a separate piece, is a completely separate piece of leather. You can see the broguing, 1 row of stitching on each, where here, the broguing kind of runs into, I guess I would say, the foot opening. On this pair, it actually goes down and around, okay? And then here, you can see, I noticed, I pointed out that heel design here, down over down. This one, is more horizontal, I guess I would say, okay? We can get them both in one shot, so a little different, okay? Turn them both this way. Like I said, warned you guys, okay, probably only most dorkiest hardcore Allen Edmonds fan is gonna, be enthralled at all by this, okay? So I was curious why they made some of these changes. Now, first of all, you can see here the this row of the stitching here almost runs into this one. So, you can never judge a whole line of shoes just by one example of each. Where here they left some more space. Is that a function because of the cut of leather they're using, because mine are wide? Is that because of quality control is not as tight? It's hard to say. I guess, in my personal opinion, the way this is done with some space in between them appears to be more refined, appears to be higher quality. And if you also notice here, the angle of this area and this area, they're kind of parallel, where here, they're not really as parallel, okay? They kind of, overlap each other and diverge. So to me, I would say that appears, higher quality. That's, my personal, okay? Some other things you can see here. I'm not complaining about the shoes, just pointing out something different. You see the stitching there, where the distance between the, you can see the distance from where the leather's cut, the pinking, to the stitching. It's very close here, then gets far, then gets close again. So obviously when you don't have a separate piece of leather, you don't have that to worry about. So I was wondering whether they were using more pieces of leather, where it's easier to find a very nice piece of leather that's smaller versus bigger. So I don't know if that's a factor. I find it hard to believe that they would split that up just for that reason. I mean, it might almost argue that it's more difficult because now using more leather because they have a piece here and another piece on top of it. So I don't know if that's a factor. So I guess I would be curious which way you prefer. So again, not the color, but which style shoe. Do you prefer one over the other? I don't know, just curious. See that classic Allen Edmonds heel, okay? And they didn't change the heel, right? But let me see if there's any difference in the back. Okay. A little plainer across the heel there. Okay, now, I guess the only difference here is that the way this brogan comes up, it really comes up more on the side of the shoe, okay? Whereas McAllister, it comes up really around the back of the shoe. Anyway, there we go. Two similar, but different wingtip Oxfords.